So what's the deal with the resignations? Weren't a bunch of people supposed to be arrested and indicted already? Well, yes and no. Many of them have already happened, and many are yet to come. One thing we have to keep in mind when going after bad guys is collateral damage. We have to avoid something that I call James Bond syndrome, the tendency to accept unjustifiably high levels of collateral damage or civilian casualties from leaders whose plights people are emotionally bought into. Like in almost every single James Bond movie, how the mission ends up spilling out into the open and causing significant collateral damage. Buildings get knocked down, fatal car accidents happen, and there's lots of innocent casualties. But it's never focused on for more than a split second, and ultimately, we don't care. In fact, we instantly forget about it, we keep watching, and we never hold it against 007 because we are emotionally invested in his plight. So we're morally okay with whatever he needs to do to complete the mission and get the bad guy, no matter what the cost. James Bond syndrome is one of the things currently plaguing our politics and our foreign policy like a cancer. Because real life isn't a James Bond movie. In real life, collateral damage actually matters. Civilian casualties actually matter. Like, no one should care how many supervillains I take down if my recklessness causes 2 buildings full of innocent people to get knocked down in the process. So here's how that ties into QAnon. Resignations from huge corporate titans can't just rain down like fire from heaven, unfortunately. They need to be handled in a very careful way. The reason for this is because we don't want to cause any collateral damage to the shareholders, many of whom are middle-class pensioners who will suffer greatly if the stock tanks, right? Because we want bad guys gone, but we don't want innocent people harmed in the process. That's why many of the people that have been forced out so far have been forced out under the cover of the Me Too movement. Like with Intel. Intel is one of our country's most important companies. They make most of our processors, the chips that function as the brain of computers and servers. Their HQ is in Cali, but many of their largest fabs, or computer chip factories, are here in Arizona. Places where they do some space-age engineering, like fit 10,000 transistors onto a piece of silicone the width of a human hair. So naturally, it goes without saying, they have a bunch of cool gadgets as well as world-class security. Like acres worth of solar panels to generate electricity, batteries to store all of it, and these nifty little 360 AI surveillance cameras with these infrared illuminators. But Intel, like almost every other corporate titan out there, has one catastrophic shortcoming when it comes to security. They outsource to a third-party diagnose and repair service when they have IT issues. And that third-party service turns straight around and outsources to a local subcontractor like me through one of several mobile phone apps that function effectively like a Uber for IT guys. Apps that are super easy to hack in my favor so that I can essentially walk straight in the front door of wherever I'm trying to get into on a given day. So in the case of Intel, back in 2018, when I suspected a certain CEO of being criminally negligent with intellectual property vital to our national security, vital as indicated by these signs all over the place, I was able to get myself in and collect all the evidence I needed. Like in this case, where I used a POS system outage in the cafeteria to gain access to CH2 on the Chandler campus and snap a picture of these Chinese spies stealing chip schematics in plain sight. And in this case, when I was able to get myself into the Ocotillo campus on a diagnose and repair job and install a compromised motherboard into an air-gapped laptop that's used to control the fab machinery on the factory line. Needless to say, a certain CEO was Me Too'd right on out of the equation. The reason for removing him that way, instead of charging him with endangering national security, was so he didn't tank the stock and cause a lot of collateral damage with people's pensions, like I mentioned before. It feels like that CEO should have faced stiffer consequences, no doubt. But our priority is making life better for regular people. So sometimes we have to make difficult choices to protect the innocent. But at least I can feel good about this picture with one of my own cheeky little props, this little lighter, symbolizing how no one, not even the CEO of Intel, is safe from getting lit up by Q if he or she decides to threaten our national security.